Hey everyone, myths and legends, they've been around for ages, right? These stories passed down from grandparents to parents to kids give us a peek into the past and what makes us human. They talk about love, loss, heroes and bad guys, and people everywhere, no matter where they come from or when they lived, connect with these stories. From the ancient Greeks to the Vikings, every group of people has their own special collection of myths and legends. These stories often have magical creatures, huge battles and amazing monsters. They try to explain things like storms, why we do what we do and what it means to be a person. Myths and legends are like a bridge between what we know and what we don't, between what's real and what we imagine. They make our imaginations go wild and take us to amazing places. Even in today's world, where everything seems to be about facts and logic, myths and legends still have the power to make us dream and get excited. They remind us that stories are powerful and can shape how we see ourselves and the world. Okay, so we use myths and legends a lot, sometimes even for the same thing, but they're actually different types of stories. Myths, which usually take place a long, long time ago, often have gods, goddesses, and other magical beings. They try to explain how the world began, why it rains, or why we have certain traditions. Legends, on the other hand, are usually based on real people and events. They might have some made-up parts, but they're usually told as if they really happened, even if we are not sure if they did. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between a myth and a legend, and some stories are a bit of both. But one thing they have in common is that they show us what people believed, what they valued, and what they were worried about. Myths and legends come from our deep need to understand the world. Before science, our ancestors looked for answers in magic and the supernatural. Myths explained things like thunder, lightning, and why the weather changes. They also explained why some people were in charge, why we have certain rules, and what's right and wrong. Legends, often based on real people or events, help people remember great achievements, sad events, or stories that taught important lessons. They taught values, made people feel connected to their history, and showed how the past and present are linked. These stories, told and retold through generations, changed over time as people's beliefs and experiences changed. They were like a library of knowledge, wisdom, and history. All right, let's explore some cool ancient mythologies. Greece, Norse lands, that's where the Vikings came from, and Egypt. Ancient Greece had loads of gods and goddesses, from Zeus, the king of the gods, to Poseidon, the sea dude. These gods were thought to control everything in people's lives. Greek myths talked about love, betrayal, heroes, and what it means to be human. Norse mythology, with its brave warriors, strong gods, and the idea that everything goes in circles, showed how tough life was in Scandinavia. Odin, the main god, Thor, the thunder guy, and Loki, the mischievous one, were the stars of these epic stories. Egyptian mythology focused on what happens after we die and how life and death go in a cycle. It helped people understand death and the universe. Osiris, Isis, and Horus were the important figures in this complex belief system. These different mythologies, even though they have their own unique details, all talk about things we all wonder about: life, death, and what it all means. Myths and legends are like a mirror, reflecting the people who created them. They show us what they valued, what they feared, and what they hoped for. For example, the Greeks valued honor, bravery, and being smart, and you can see that in their myths about heroes like Heracles and Odysseus. Norse mythology, with its focus on strength, toughness, and accepting what happens, shows us the harsh world and warrior culture of the Vikings. The Egyptians were really interested in death and the afterlife, and you can see that in their fancy burial rituals and myths about Osiris, the god of the underworld. By looking at these stories, we learn about how people in the past saw the world and what they believed. They give us a glimpse into what makes us human, showing us that people have always had the same hopes, fears, and worries, no matter where or when they lived.